Now, I tell one of my teachers once, and he was owed a couple of $1 million, but the other people that were involved with it, the energy that they approached it with was coming from scarcity. And I was sitting there talking to them, and I said to them, I says, hey, everyone's wanting me to get in and help you clear the energy for allowing the $2 million to come in. And he says, don't leave it alone. And I said, what do you mean? What's going on? He said, because I'm holding the vibration. And this is where he was in the I am. He had the image in his mind, and he was acting from the end result. He was acting as if he already had it. He was in the moment, knowing that it was real. And what the people were asking was to help clean away the energy, the negative energy or the doubts and the worries and fears, but they were all doing it from scarcity. So in the context here with Ian with his truck, Ian needs to get clear, see himself driving the truck, be dropping his lunch wrappers in the truck, listening to his music or his podcasts in the truck, and just, he is so much in the truck that it is real, that when he opens his eyes and he gets in his old truck, he goes, oh, what am I doing in this old thing? Man, this is my truck. But he lives in the new truck. And what we do when we support someone like that is we just hold energy that he knows his creation has already happened. And that's a gift in itself, because gratitude for the realization of Ian's truck. We have praise for how amazing he is at having this new truck. That's what our job is. Ian's job is to sit in the truck, know what sort of truck, and it is so real that he's not thinking about it. He's thinking from it. He's in it. He's driving it. He's got the heated seats on. He's got the blooming nice sound system going. Yeah, he chucks it on the caravan on the back and it doesn't even notice it. And how it comes to him is none of our concern. But he knows what he wants. So this is a little thing where we go to share things, or others create, manifest what they want to manifest. And the point that my teacher taught me on this was, don't get in all your meanings about it. All your meanings is distraction. Ian plugs his truck on the end result, puts himself in it. And from this day on, from this moment on, he will be driving his truck. And then the speed that it manifests is at the speed that Ian allows it to manifest. He has to get through all the doubts. Oh, do I want it? Do I want that? Do I get a brand new? Blah, 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 blah. All that gobbledygook will come through. That's all gobbledygook. You don't even touch any of that. You just see yourself driving the end truck. And another thing that the teacher taught me was, in the manifesting period, if Ian sees himself in this truck and he just sees himself driving the truck, and at no time was he using any of his money to buy the truck, then he gets these other opportunities where he can buy trucks using his money. Then they may not be the right truck. And there's a story, there's a teaching there where these people had one of this apartment building. They bought this land and they'd always wanted an apartment building on one side of it because they built their house, they paid their mortgage off. And they've been 15 years and they wanted this apartment building, but they didn't want to use their money to do it. And so they just visualized and sat in the end result of seeing the apartment building with all the tenants in all the rooms, and everyone was happy. And that's all they stayed in, that frequency of. One day someone comes along, there was a great builder, and asked them with it that their block looks perfect for a apartment building. He goes, great. They go, yeah, we would really like that. And they did nothing with it. He then comes back and he says, hey, some drawings that would fit this lot now and need a little bit of adjustment to it. Would you be interesting? And they went, oh, that's great. But they did nothing with it. And then he comes back another week or so later and says, hey, I've done the drawings up, and it only costs $3,000 to be able to get the permits and things like that. And they did nothing with it, because in their vision, they saw them having it without spending any of their money. And this is the holding that frequency. They then go along and he comes back and he says, hey, I'll fund it and then you pay me out of the returns from the rental. And we've got a contract it. And they sign the contract. And away I went. And the part of it that was really cool is because had they jumped into going and looking for a builder, that wasn't the vision of the end result. See, that's not the vision of Ian and his truck. Ian's in his truck. He's got his new vehicle. Yes, he'll do steps and find the truck, but Ian knows the truck and it will come into fruition. And so the thing, you be careful with your steps. You're going from the end result. Yes, there are things that need to be done along the way, but if your vision is that, well, these people, they weren't going to use any of their money to build the apartments, and then some opportunities come where you're using your money, you're out of sync with your end result. You're not on the same road. And so you must be mindful here. And the way you do that to know whether you're on the right note is you come back into the I am, and you come back into the essence of self. And you are in trust in yourself. And you will know what steps to take. But we do not go from fear. We go from a place of abundance. We go from a place of knowingness. And another part of this is we keep it secret. We keep it in ourselves. Because in the case of the apartments, and you're telling people that, oh no, what this guy doing it, but he wants this money or we're not going to do it. They're going to have all their opinions and all their doubts and all their belief systems and all that are being thrown back on it. Over the last week and a bit or so, I've shown you how to go deeper into the love and you go past the front of your belief systems. So none of it's made from your belief systems because wherever you are, if you go forward in your structure to your end result, you are on the same railway track of that belief system where you are starting in your current reality. When we take a step back and we go back into just the void or the light or the I am, it's like a whole lot of railway tracks. Which track do you want to take? Which pathway do you want to take? So you come back into just being love. And when you're able to come back there, what you'll find is you're letting go of your resistances and your perceptions and how you think it needs to be, where you'll have a little bit of a fizz and little bits and pieces go on inside of you. That's quite fun. And then you pull back into yourself, but you're in the I am, blank canvas. What am I going to paint today? And you sit in the I am. And then you have the idea. And this place here, we're sitting here, and Ian goes, I would really like XYZ on track. Not because he thinks that's all he can have, because, hey, I'd really love to have one of them. And I'm only prepared to pay 50 grand for it, or 20 grand, or I'd love it to be gifted me, whatever it is. And yeah, that's what I want. That's what I want. Boom. He plants that out there, sees himself in the truck, but he comes from a place of an empty screen. So he's not still going up from having to go around the road that his old belief systems, old perceptions get him there. He's now back at a new beginning. The new beginning. So in his subconscious, he's planted a new seed that can then come into reality without any meanings and adjustments on it. It just is. And he's got this string attached to where he wants that to be connected to. And he thinks from that end result. So he's got the end result. So what we do is we get the end result. We sit in it, and then we come back to the I am. And you hook. So you think there, you come into the I am, and you hook on. You hook on. Because the thing that I see happening so often is, and I experienced this a lot in my life, I was making end results, but I was staying on the same railway track. So we're still having the same perceptions, same resistances all the way along. Yes, you get the end result. You can get to an end result. Yeah, it happens still. But you still have the same flavors because you're still running pure source energy through that filtration system. And what I've been showing is what happens if you don't go through that filtration system. What happens if you go just through pure source and you begin to connect onto it that way? Because all of a sudden, all the resistance begins to let go. Don't worry, your little robot will have its arms waving around going, danger, danger, Will Robinson. It'll go in spastic because all your assumptions, all your meanings have got nothing to hang on to. And so you just keep letting them go because you just come back into the I am. As soon as you get an I am and a perception of whatever you think it needs to be, you are caught in this filtration system, in the mindsets and the unconscious mind and things like that. And what's happening is you'll find that you'll just feel the springs releasing. And you'll realize that there is no resistance to you having what you want, because you can have what you want as fast as what you can have what you don't want. It's just where your focus goes. It's where your attention is. It's where your attitude is. So I'll give you the 4 laws that I told you about yesterday to create what we want. And in this, what's going to happen is the old you will begin to start to die. You're going to be like a snake or a lizard shedding your skin. And what happens with this, it may not happen straight away just now, but it will begin to start happening. What I mean by that, by you shedding your skin, your old level of consciousness of your belief systems will begin to start releasing. And you will be elevating up in whatever way you want to do, to a higher awareness of yourself that you can handle. Okay. So, as I said yesterday, 4 absolute laws in creation. You exist, so you always exist. You cannot not exist because you exist. And things that you desire exist, and it is just knowing them. So it either exists or there is no existence. That's all there is. The second one, the one is in the all and the all is in the one. And we know this about the holographic universe when you've read the book, The Holographic Universe. All in the part and the parts in the whole. So in every part, in every little aspect, everything's in it. And in everything, there's every little part. Well, that's the second law. The third law, what you put out is what you get back. What you put out is what you get back. And we all know that law. You create what you own, not what you. And then the fourth law is everything changes except the first 3 laws. Because even the fourth law changes. Because it changes. It just changes. Everything changes except the first 3 laws. So when you know that you just exist, and you will always exist, yes, you'll change form, you'll lose this bodysuit. You've had many bodysuits, and you've been many aliens on many bits of consciousness on other areas, but you've always existed. And this is where the one is in the all and all is in the one. You can take one little aspect of your cells on that, and it has the memory of your whole full being. And your whole being has the memory of that cell. Just it. And we all know the one. What we put out, it was what we get back.